everybody's gotta run, and ain't nobody gonna hold you, and everybody needs someone. Don't try to go along, don't say I never told you. When you wake up tomorrow and your heart ain't feeling right, I'd love to steal up all of, say goodbye to pain and sorrow every day and every night.
I did my work happily.
Hi, my name's Al Benner. First of all, let me start by saying, from my experience, nothing really worthwhile in life comes easily. I'm an entrepreneur. Over the past 30 years, I've started and built out several small businesses. My latest, the Step Back Disc Golf Course, has been by far the most physically challenging. Everything you will see, from the tees to the fairways to the basket areas to even the majority of the signage, has all been done by hand. Nothing more than a chainsaw, hand tools, and a wheelbarrow were used. This, of course, is not true for the road in, the parking lot, and the clubhouse area where you check in. These were developed with some heavy equipment that was utilized to develop the area, move boulders, and add fill as necessary. A stump grinder was also utilized on some of the holes. Before we talk about the layout and construction of the course, let's first go back in time 3 years ago to when I first acquired the property. The land was a great deal. It was a large acreage with considerable lakefront, but the low price point was due to a couple of major issues. About 25% of the property was designated as wetlands, and the lack of vehicular access, in fact the lakefront was almost a mile from the main road, is perhaps why it had sat on the market for close to 6 years. Things were so grown in that to gain access to the parcel, we would canoe across from the other side of Second Pond. My original plan for the property was to build a small rental cabin or two to generate cash flow moving toward my retirement. When I began drilling down on the cost to do this, it became less and less appealing. Then it dawned on me, why not open a disc golf course on a section of the land up closer to the road? Mines Road has heavy traffic flows, so it would get great exposure. There was a bit of open pasture land for the first 2 holes, plenty of terrain changes in the woods, compelling scenery, and even a water feature. Also, there were only 2 other courses in the general vicinity, and they were both an hour away. Our location has a very large number of summer visitors. Heck, there was even an old dump on the property and at least 6 old tree stands. My twin boys, Owen and Coleman, and I had cut our teeth on the sport back in northeastern Pennsylvania, starting around 10 years ago, when the boys were around 8. I had owned a working organic farm where we offered wood-fired sourdough pizza and live music on Friday evenings, and it was just 15 minutes from the course. Like many people, right from the start we were hooked on the sport. Oh, the Coleman luck, he got through. Did he actually? Yeah. The boys had grown up throwing the frisbee around during summers here in Maine, so they took to it naturally. Both boys seemed to gravitate to a forehand technique like their dad. I moved out of Pennsylvania 4 years ago, but for anyone in that area that wants to try a nice, long, wide-open course, it's at the Prompton Lake State Park in Prompton, not far from Honesdale. I hear the fishing isn't bad either. Originally, I purchased the 26-foot 1976 Airstream trailer, thinking I would restore it and perhaps use it for lakeside camping or rent it out at the land. Then it dawned on me, why not turn it into a very affordable and funky clubhouse of sorts for the disc golf course? The name Step Back is synonymous with stepping back in time. We play a lot of 70s and 80s music, and the entire course has a very laid-back vibe. The property had many 50-year-old logging roads crisscrossing it. I can't tell you how many streamers I hung from trees, but let's just say I had a lot of different hole and course configurations. If nothing else, in many cases, these old logging roads became idyllic as the starting point for several of our fairways, saving us a good amount of tree clearing. One day I came to the realization that it might be a good idea to get a more experienced course designer involved. Enter Dana Carpenter from Vermont. Dana had experience building his own course, elevation chains up in northern Vermont, as well as advising on some other courses. Dana has a real gift for knowing which trees to drop and which to leave. I believe this is due to the fact that he is such an accomplished player. To date, he has the second lowest score on our 9-hole course and has only played it 3 times. Dana and I were a very good design team. I focused more on the big picture layout and Dana on the hole details. My undergraduate degree in ornamental horticulture came in handy. I'm a huge fan of trees and natural landscaping. This property had so much for us to work with. Not only all the terrain changes, but some impressive boulders moved in place by the last ice age. One so enormous, it offers a 25-foot drop from the tee pad. For anyone considering building their own disc golf course, I would highly recommend working with someone in your area that has experience doing this. If nothing else, it allows for a second opinion for course and hole layout. I can't tell you how many times we made changes on the fly. Here are some views of the various holes and the early clearing work that was done to bring them to their current state.
I once heard somebody say, this is living don't come easy, and you never find your way. And if you try and walk alone, you already lost believing. And if the word rings true, and there's darkness before light, find somebody and get together.
This is a long one that gets you way back down towards the end of the property. Actually, it gets you the furthest point from the clubhouse. And it's going to be a very long par 4, probably approaching 500 feet. And we've created a big sweeping sort of bowl here, we've cleared way up into this side. And then so it's a big wide belly, and then it narrows down into a tighter fairway that takes you right down up to the basket. And this is a pretty cool hole that I think is going to allow for some really interesting shot selection and some big arms to unload off the tee. So we wanted to create some more holes with longer distance, more room to roam, so to speak. And I think this hole will definitely deliver that. So we're excited about this new hole here. Next comes the harsh reality, fairway cleanup. This has been nothing short of incredibly extensive. Fortunately, I'm blessed with twin boys that are now 18, and for the past 2 summers, my one son, Owen, has been helping me with clearing the fairways, moving wood, and installing tees and baskets. Owen is a hard worker and very strong. Not only has this been a great summer job for him, it has also been a fun father-son bonding experience, and like I tell him, his hard work will be something he can look back on for years to come with a sense of pride. Thanks, Owen. The sheer volume of material we have moved by hand has been mind-boggling. Perfect example is hole 1, a downhill par 4 through a rocky and dense hardwood forest that then plays through an incredibly dense and extensive spruce thicket. Not only did all these spruce trees have to be thinned out, but then each tree had to be pole sawed by yours truly to a height of 20 feet to remove all the dead limbs. We did a rough calculation, and our best guess is we have spent somewhere between 200 and 250 man-hours on this one hole alone. There are 3 strategies we utilize for fairway cleanup, and although time-consuming, they have worked very well for us. For any holes we could gain access to by vehicle for the removal of firewood, we implemented a strategy of cutting the 3-inch to 6-inch diameter hardwood trunks into 4 to 6 foot lengths and then propping them up in large teepee-shaped piles. Later in the summer and early fall, I would cut these to firewood length for our wood stoves, and then we would bring the old trailer down to load and move them.
We made it, Al.
Another massive operation was burn piles. My best estimates suggest we had close to 100 burn piles throughout the course, some of them extremely large in size. We tried to burn the majority of these in winter when there was snow on the ground. Since this wasn't always possible, we would also acquire burn permits from the town when conditions were right during other times of the year to burn off all the brush. Here you can see some of the strategies utilized to overcome snow on the piles and damp, frozen conditions. The pyro in me was happy. The final strategy for getting rid of unwanted brush and rotted logs is to simply drag them to a location outside the normal field of play. This is typically a last resort and is done when the area does not lend itself well to burning, or when there is a spot where the debris can be disposed of where it is out of sight. Before we start talking about tees and baskets, I'd first like to recognize something that's very near and dear to my heart, the place I now call home, the Blue Hill Peninsula. About 1 hour south of Acadia National Park, our coastal area abounds with incredible scenic beauty, amazing seafood, numerous hiking trails, plenty of freshwater lakes and ponds, and of course that iconic rocky coastline, punctuated by bucolic harbors, jam-packed in summer with lobster boats and sailboats. The best thing perhaps is that it seems a haven for like-minded people who are creative, industrious, and knowledgeable on a vast array of topics. For anyone looking to escape the city or suburban grind for a few days, a summer, or a lifetime, I can't speak highly enough about this region. I've owned a home here for 25 years. When you're a new startup business in a small community, it's much easier to gain exposure.
Thank you very much. I'm over. All right.
A perfect example was the Deer Isle 4th of July parade. One quick phone call got us in at no cost, and it was a blast. I drove the truck, while my boys and my fiancée Mara and her boys worked the crowd. So now let's discuss tees and baskets. Tees had been my biggest concern. Because virtually all work was being done by hand, it made sense to implement construction methods that would not require a large amount of off-site inputs. A lot of courses through the years have constructed tee pads from concrete. This seemed to me to be material and labor intensive. Then I stumbled upon a 1/2 inch thick recycled black rubber athletic mat system offered by Morley Athletic, a family business in New York State. Some other courses had been starting to use their material, and the reviews were favorable. The 4-foot by 12-foot sections were affordable, looked nice, and best of all, were not slippery when wet, and could be installed with relative ease. The one critical element was getting to a firm, smooth surface prior to rolling out the mats. Wheelbarrow loads and 5-gallon buckets of sandy fill were moved by hand to each tee box to level the area. If the tee box was pitched from front to back or left to right, It was made level by mortaring together found rocks to retain the buildup sand. These rocks were often located in piles left by previous generations of farmers who had cleared the land for grazing. The other types of tee pads you will encounter here at Step Back are elevated platform tees, consisting of 4-foot wide by 1/2 inch thick pressure-treated plywood supported by pressure-treated 2x4s. These tees are then covered with the same rubber matting. This type of system is used in locations where topography, remoteness, or the presence of rocks make it unrealistic to easily construct an on-ground tee pad previously described. One other element I introduced to the course is present adjacent to the tee pads for holes number 2 and 7. The virtually invisible black mesh grid you may or may not notice is in place to offer protection to players from errant shots from the preceding hole. The polypropylene mesh material was something my dad and I utilized as a virtually invisible deer fencing system to protect entire properties and gardens from hungry deer. The product can be easily attached to existing trees or posts. My brother Rob is currently offering these types of systems under the same brand name. For baskets, we decided to go with the Prodigy T2 professional grade targets. We ended up with the color white, kind of by happenstance, but are very happy with the easy-to-see color, and it also works well with our purple and white color theme. Installation was pretty straightforward, but is best taken on by 2 people. Owen and I would typically make 3 to 6 baskets on a go-round. 15 of our 18 holes have permanent baskets, while 3 have targets that can be moved. These movable baskets have come in handy when digging is not an option due to rock-infested basket areas, or if we want to place our basket on top of a boulder or outcropping like we have done on hole number 6. For this application, the temporary units come with a basket to fill with rocks at the base to hold the target steady. For installing the permanent baskets, we utilize 5-gallon plastic buckets and mix up batches of concrete in a wheelbarrow and then shovel the mixture in around the support pipe, being sure the pipe is kept centered and vertically straight by using a level. We let the pipes cure up in the buckets overnight and then position the buckets into the holes we dug to accommodate them. We are sure to test the dig location with a pry bar to ensure we have relatively clear digging as we have lots of rocks. Prodigy also supplied us with our plastic for the putters, mid-range, and drivers, and these have been well received, and in addition to picking up some retail sales, they work very well as a no-charge loaner disc set for newbie players. Before we take a flyover of a few of the holes, let's talk marketing for a minute. We've had some good success here, and I'd like to share the experience. Let me start by saying I believe in grassroots marketing whenever possible. Nothing beats lean and mean when it comes to marketing. In my opinion, bootstrapping reigns supreme. Our strategy has been multi-pronged: signage on site, regional digital marketing campaigns using Facebook and Instagram, press releases to local papers. One in the Ellsworth American definitely brought us some business. Purple tie-dye t-shirts and hats as merch, along with custom disc sets for purchase or loaners. We also pulled the trigger on 4 DOT signs to help direct drivers toward our course. Schools have been a natural fit for the course. We have offered regional schools complimentary field trips to learn about the sport and play around, and several schools accompanied by teachers and/or principals have taken us up on our offer. The kids have had a blast. It creates goodwill in the community, and we hope to be cultivating new customers for the future. To date, families have been regular visitors to the Step Back course. Good signage, I believe, is often an overlooked element of a disc golf course. We have very high ratings on the UDisc app for this category, and I believe it is due to a few different reasons. First, we have good directional signage. This is paramount in my opinion. You don't want players getting turned around and frustrated, and for this reason we have made sure to have plenty of next tee signs. Second, signage that accurately depicts each hole and looks professional. For the signs for each hole, we decided to work with Fluent Disc out of British Columbia. We added an interpretive educational section to each sign featuring local history, flora, and fauna, and we are very pleased with them. Lastly, we funked things up a bit with our hand-painted retro 70s theme signs and peppered them around the course. These combined with our Spotify music selections playing at the crib from the 70s and 80s instills a step-back vibe. Our first year, 2024, began on Saturday, May 18th, opening day. Players went around twice on the 9 holes for a total fee of $8 for Maine residents or $10 for out-of-state. Having our sign up for several months out on the road prior to opening, along with doing a fair amount of social media posting on Facebook and Instagram, helped generate quite a bit of buzz, while favorable weather brought out quite a few people for that first weekend. Now, I'm not a nervous sort of guy, but as players began coming around after playing their first 9 holes, I could sense myself becoming increasingly nervous. What would they say? Did they like the course? What if all our hard work on the first 9 had been in vain? Doubt and fear were creeping in, and that doesn't happen often to me. Then the feedback started. Really fun course. Love the biome. Or, we appreciate all your hard work. Awesome course. And what I heard a lot, just keep doing what you are doing. Here's a comment from Jay Pingree that came in over Messenger late last July. Hey there, just found and played your course. I've played courses all over the country, and this was one of my favorites. Well done. We'll certainly write a review and spread the word.
Oh, gorgeous.
Oh, and I got my first ever hole-in-one on 7. Been playing for 30 years. Good vibes indeed. Thanks and rock on.
Yeah, man.
This is the kind of feedback that makes all the hard work so worthwhile. So the good news is that people really like the course, both seasoned veterans and newbies alike. That was for me the most important aspect to juggle, building a course demanding enough for hardcore players while still not discouraging novice and rookie players. I'd now like to take a moment to thank all those players who have become regulars at the Step Back course. You know who you are. We truly appreciate your commitment to the course and thank you for spreading the word and bringing other players out to see what we are doing. And a special thanks to those hardcore Step Back fans who attended our first tournament. It was a lot of fun. A ground floor of community and friendships are being built, and I believe this is a big part of what disc golf is all about. We are excited to have all 18 holes open later this spring for 2025, and we are looking forward to hosting leagues and more tournaments for 2026. Prices will be moving to $10 for residents and $12 for out-of-state once all 18 holes are open. This all said, it will take a handful of years to recoup my investments in infrastructure and course development. The nice part about a business like this, however, is that I don't have to be on site at the clubhouse all the time. I'm not good at sitting around, so I'm usually out on the course. Fortunately, the check-in process is very user-friendly, and people are more than happy to self-check in, and if need be, help themselves to complimentary loaner discs. Now I'd like to recognize someone that has been by my side during this entire process. Neither rain, nor snow, nor sub-freezing temperatures have deterred her. Her name is Mara, and along with her boys Michael and Jackson, she has been instrumental in helping me clear fairways and burn brush piles. She may be small, but she is incredibly willing and very hardworking. Mara has helped with all our events and continues to be very supportive of the whole idea. Thanks for everything, Mara. So what's new for Step Back Disc Golf moving forward? Well, aside from having 18 holes open soon and leagues and tournaments on the way, we are also in the process of constructing a 2-stall bathroom on site. No more porta potty. Jamie from Half Ash Farm did some great prep work to open the hole for the vault, and he also ripped out a couple of nuisance stumps and moved some brush piles. Once the vault was delivered by a very large truck, we then carefully hand backfilled it. This bathroom will be similar to what you would find at a state park. We are excited to be upping our game. Thanks to our friend Kevin, a course regular, for the donation of unwanted Belgian blocks that will be used for the ramped entry approach to the bathroom. We are also considering offering food at some point, but we are unsure if and when this will happen. In the meantime, we continue to inoculate plenty of 4 to 6 inch diameter red oak logs in early spring with shiitake mushroom spawn. We now have well over 100 logs, and last summer and fall, we began seeing flushes of delicious and nutritious shiitakes.
Now we're going to saute a lot of these up and freeze them because we obviously can't use them all at once. The other alternative is to dry them on a windowsill slope.
We have thousands of red oaks on the property and have been able to use logs when they are cut in the winter and are dormant while opening up the course. We are planning on making this a future revenue stream for the property, so keep your eye out for fresh shiitakes for sale at Step Back. Also, a special thanks to our neighbor Bill, who has allowed us to gain access with our pickup truck and trailer to the lower section of the course to remove firewood. In return, we have gifted Bill a few piles of logs that he was able to pull out with his tractor. He also was very helpful in moving some large rocks up by the clubhouse and for pulling a hanger pine tree that was blocking the fairway for what will become hole number 10, and for helping us move baskets and tee mats with his tractor back to the course. Bill also mows the fairways for the first 2 holes. Thanks for everything, Bill. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. We definitely hope it was interesting, informative, and perhaps inspirational. We wish you all the best in your disc golf journey. Thanks, and be well. Go ahead. So Mara and Jackson and Mike did a spectacular job of cleaning the area where the basket's going to be on the 17th green here. And there's Jackson looking very proud. And Mike, the other brother, came upon something very interesting back behind this brush pile off to our right there when he was hauling some brush. So Mike, let's follow you back. And Mike's put everything back the way he found it. So when you get back there, you can tell us what it was, okay? So explain what we have here.
A buckhead.
Yep.
And the nose, I'm pretty sure, is pretty broken. All the teeth are intact.
Wow, look at that. Let's get a closer up look at that. Wow.
They're kind of wiggly.
Hold it still. Okay. Wow.
And we also have all the antlers here, but mice have chewed it for calcium because that's what they do for in the winter.
All right, hold that still. Let me get a look at those tines. Those are the tines you can see here. The camera doesn't like looking at that one, but there, it's getting dark out, but you can see how they chewed it. One of the tines, I think on the other side is, let's just hold it still. Look at that. They got almost all of that one and that one, but what's growing on that bone, Michael? What's the greenish cast? Yeah, there's some kind of an algae on there. How long do you think it's been out here?
I think it's been out here for a couple of months.
Oh, buddy, I think it's been out there quite longer than that. I would bet it's been at least a year, or maybe a couple. It could even be longer. But what's surprising is that it's out here still, because usually the mice will just chew that down for the calcium, and what they get like a salty content and calcium from it. And usually you won't see antlers left very long at all. So.